Welcome, college basketball fans, to the Full Court Press Podcast with LT and Sammy D. This is the podcast that brings you legendary stories from college basketball's golden era and dives in deep with a current analysis of today's game. Get ready for the most energetic and entertaining college basketball podcast around. Let's get it.
Sam, we got another Full Court Press podcast, a college basketball experience preview show. And Sam, you're here, so that's nice. I'm really getting worked up to the Horizon League that I have to do by myself at 8:30 in the morning Eastern. So that should be good. But we got a conference that's near and dear to our heart. We both you played and I coached it. We got a little Conference USA basketball on today. A little bit different when you were there 20 years ago.
Yeah, a little different outlook from CUSA 25 years ago. But it's one of the best conferences to watch in basketball year in and year out. And I feel like you get so many D2 guys coming in, JUCO guys who are just like becoming national names now. And these two guests that we have on.
Hey, just wait a second. Do you still have your jacket we got that year at conference?
I got
I do too.
Well, I've got some of my Conference USA stuff. And
does it still fit?
The jacket doesn't. I do have a long sleeve shirt that I'll like wear when I'm doing like yard work. My wife wants to get rid of it because it's got holes in it. And I'm like, no, this is legacy right here.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about who we got. We got Coach Chris Mudge from the Sam Houston State University Bearcats, and we're going to go a little bit east and a little bit south. We're going to go to Florida International University with Coach Jeremy Ballard and the Panthers. Welcome to the Full Court Press.
Thanks for having us, fellas. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on and talking a little Conference USA basketball and what you guys have been up to and what your kind of outlook for the upcoming season looks like. I think what we're learning is nobody knows what the upcoming season looks like because of so many different changes, and it's hard enough keeping track of your own roster and scheduling and everything like that. Nonetheless, like, keep up with everybody else in your conference, but we're going to dig deep here and see what we can get. So, Coach Mudge, why don't we kick it off with you? You know, like, why are you
starting with Coach Mudge? Because he beat Coach Ballard in conference last year. Is that why you're starting with him?
The reason why.
Also, be fair, we did lose
with him. I mean, I got some good stuff for Coach Ballard. He's got a pretty deep team this year, very experienced, very mature team. So I'm going to get into that in a minute. But Coach Mudge, like, what have you been up to this summer? And
COYs go first.
There you go.
We did lose we lost at the Panther House. Flo Rida's next sponsorship deal that he's going to have down there. This summer, summer is just a different work period, but it's been good. We got a great group of guys, and just trying to teach them what it takes every day. I mean, that's the hard thing with coaching right now is you have 13 seniors on your roster every year, no matter what. And so you got to get them ready to try to win. And you got to start in the summer if you're going to be able to get them ready to go to try to win games on November 4th. It's crazy. Somebody told me the other day, you have like 48 days till it starts counting. And that's really scary. I don't know how Coach Ballard feels, like how we don't know anything at the moment. So it's been good though. We got good guys. We've had some injuries, been banged up, knock on wood. Hopefully we get those guys back. And, we just got to, not to be coachy, but control what we can. Cause a guy will turn an ankle here on a random thing, walking down the stairs. You're like, holy geez, like what are we doing here? But it's been good, man. It's been a good summer. Got to learn a lot. The first year of coaching, I learned how much I didn't know, which is a lot. And so
is it kind of like parenting that first child you have?
No doubt. They just, it's similar. My wife and I joke that you leave the hospital and they give you this human and they're like, hey, all right, good luck. And like, you don't know anything. I don't know how to do any of this, nor can you be ready. And being a head coach kind of is the same thing. You think you're ready. I've read these books. I know these plays. I've seen this practice. It was a struggle. I think I was a better parent than I was a head coach at first. So it was this summer I was learning a lot. I was watching a lot of other people and trying to take it all in. So it was good.
Yeah, it's funny how you're saying it was interesting, but you went 21 and 12 and 13 and 3 in conference in your first year.
I wish we could all struggle like that.
I know it's so difficult at Sam Houston State.
Good players
Must
makes
be a good
coaches
parent.
look really good. You should have seen our non-conference where we were 7-8 and had some struggle bus moments. And it luckily our dude stuck with me through the difficult parts, because it was. I mean, we had some tough moments. We played some really good teams. Got 40-pieced at Texas Tech right before Christmas and had injuries. I mean, all three of our all-league guys missed time. And so we had some struggles, but I think everybody in the country has them. Luckily, the dudes stuck together, and it was all on them. I didn't do a lot. I got out of the way and clapped a lot. I got good at that. That's one thing I learned, is just get out of the way and tell them good job. And they did a good job with that.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth? But you still were 13-3 in conference. But I can't remember, Sam, who was the one that said, some of the coaches said that, I can't remember what conference preview it was. It's kind of all is meshing together. But they're saying, as everybody looks at the conference schedule, I think it was Donnie Jones or Lenny Cuff in the A-Sun, is that everybody looks at the non-conference schedule, they're like, the league's not very good. But I don't think people really see who they're playing. I mean, they see the Texas Techs and the Floridas and yada, and the Dukes and stuff like that, but they don't understand how good mid-major basketball really is.
No, we saw that last year. Like, I mean, you remember the first 2 to 4 weeks of college basketball last year?
Greatest ever.
It was just ridiculous. And I think it was that first really understanding of what a transfer portal could do for mid-major programs, where it's you can get a 4th or 5th year guy who's, maybe only averaging 7 or 8 minutes at a bigger conference or leading scorer of a top D2 JUCO team. And, he's more effective on the court for a mid-major than a McDonald's All-American is at a Power 5 school, and you saw that so much the first month last year. So it is pretty wild. Coach Ballard, how about you, man? How's your summer been going? And Mr. 305 down there in Miami, and what's your roster looking like this year?
Yeah, I thought we had a great summer. I think Coach Mudge really hit on it. I think all of us are, as coaches, no matter how long you've been doing it, you get to this, we're at this juncture in the year in this transfer portal world where it's like, man, am I doing enough with my team? Or, man, am I doing too much with my team? And, when I first started a long time ago, when I played, they made it very simple for you. We all started practice on October the 15th. Up until then, it was, individual workouts, 4 people for workout. I think it was 2 hours a week. So, it was, they made it simple. And now it's, when you talk to coaches, they all have their own methods. Some of them still do individuals. Some of them do all team stuff. Some of them do a combination. But I do think we had a really good summer, just trying to establish, foundational blocks for what it's going to take for us to be successful this year. And we had a number of new guys, but honestly, in today's landscape, not that many, relatively speaking. I think we brought in 5 new guys. But we had two kids who basically missed all the conference play, who were starters, and we had a kid redshirting, who we think could be really good as well. And Travis Gray is the redshirt, and Jonathan Abar and Deshaun Gittens were the kids that missed basically all of conference play. So that's kind of like 3 new guys as well. But we had a very good summer. I think fall has been good as well. We're a little banged up, but knock on wood, as Coach said earlier, we've avoided anything, catastrophic. So we're hoping that continues.
Yeah, but you know what, Sam? He has the all-league name team. He's got a kid on the team named Onyx. Remember that one? Slam da-da-da. Let's boys. And Elijah Wan.
Yeah,
that's a dude. Does he have the moves?
He's got some moves. I think there's only one dream shake, moves out there, but yeah, he's a talented player. And I actually asked Onyx the other day, I was like, do you know the group Onyx? He was like, yeah, my dad was a big fan. And so I asked him, was he named after that? He wasn't real sure, but he knew the song Slam and all that. So yeah, great names.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
I think what Panther Nation probably wants to know, how's Deshaun and Jonathan feeling? Are they healthy?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking. They're healthy and playing well right now. So we're hoping that continues. The doctors, athletic training staff did an incredible job. Those 2 kids were warriors throughout their whole rehab process, and they're doing good right now. So,
Coach Mudge, did you want to know that?
Yeah, I just changed our whole scouting report. We're getting ready for the Panthers starting today. Ready.
Well, doing this research the last couple of days, the conference is really deep. And I mean, you got rid of Coach Lutz at Western Kentucky. You got rid of KK Tandy, who went to FAU from Jacksonville State. But if you look at who all is coming back and who's coming in, this league is going to be tough. I mean, you look at what New Mexico State brought in, what you guys brought in, Western Kentucky, who they bring back, Don McHenry, Christian Lander, Tyrone Marshall Jr. Talk about the league, kind of your initial thoughts before, season kind of starts on the Conference USA.
Well, it's honestly scary because the same thing, we're in the same recruiting worlds and we see who all these other guys are signing and recruiting and keeping. And you look at everybody in the league got better. And then you look back and you're like, gosh, did we get better enough to stay, competitive? Because last year, every game was competitive. I know you mentioned that we were 13-3, and a lot of those things, there's some luck, there's some, a lot of things involved there, but they were all close games. There weren't blowouts in our league. And especially when you went on the road, it was incredibly hard. We lost to Jacksonville State and FIU, to two really good teams that were really tough. And then you look in Middle Tennessee, kept an all-league guy, had a hurt all-league guy, and then signed a high major big. New Mexico State got a lot better. Western Kentucky, Liberty went and got some size and athleticism. Florida International has some guys coming off being hurt. I mean, you look around, Louisiana Tech kept Bacho and went and did well in the portal with some transfers. UTEP got a lot better. Look around like, golly, it's going to be a beast again, which is exciting as a competitor because I like going to play those games. But as a coach of, trying to win games, like, golly, where the win's going to come from? You got to make sure you string enough in a row and have success. And I think it's going to be one of the best mid-major leagues in the country. And you have leagues, some teams that had historically been really good that maybe were not quite as good last year. Not that they were bad, but not quite as good. And now they're back to that level in this league. That's just going to change the profile. And I think at the non-conference is where we're going to see that. And then unfortunately, we have to go beat up on each other after that. But I think our non-conference, Conference USA, is going to surprise a lot of people because there's a lot of talent and really good coaches.
Yeah.
So kind of stick with that. I mean, what you did mention a little transfer portal stuff there, and where does that kind of play into with kind of your own blueprint? And I'm going to ask you the same question, Coach Ballard, like when you're putting your roster together, like guys moving in and out each year, it's different than it was 5-10 years ago. Right. Like where are you looking for guys? Like how are you and then when you bring in, 9 to 12 new guys on any given year, like what do those first couple of weeks look like to kind of build a culture?
Well, I think we always say on staff, the portal giveth and it taketh away. And so it can be used positively as well. And I think in this age, as a coach, like I'm excited for guys when they're able to open up cool opportunities. That we had a guy who was able to open up the next level of experience and go to Ole Miss, and I'm happy for him. And so we help our guys in those processes. And if it's the best thing for them, then I'm excited because let's not get it twisted. If Ole Miss offered me a job, I'd be there tomorrow as well. And so let's try to help these guys. And so it's just about a balance.
Ole Miss, can you please offer him a job right now?
Actually, we just had Chris Beard. You never know.
Beard on this. Who knows?
Make that happen.
Coach Beard is the best and beat us last year, which was tough. But I think team building, as Coach Ballard knows, like there's no one way. People are like, oh, well, we're going to go all portal or we're going to go all high school. Like, I don't think you can say that. It doesn't mean you can't do that. But I think it's a balance. You see who's coming back. We got lucky and had 6 returners that have all got great experience. And 6 in this day and age is a monumental win from a culture, from a leadership, from a toughness. They just get what it's like to go play at these places and what it takes in the offseason. And so we've kind of done a little bit of all of it. We got some JUCO guys that have gotten better. We've gone to the portal. We've got high major transfers. We have D2 transfers who've been really good. Signed 4 high school kids last year. So it's a balance of personalities. It's a battle of timelines. That's the hardest thing, I think, probably is just matching up timelines of your freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, because you don't know when they're going to be back or if they're going to be back. So trying to build a program is hard. Say, well, let's look 2 to 3 years down the line. You don't know. I don't know if one guy is coming back on our team next year. And so let's just recruit good players that are tough and fit. And at the end of the year in the spring, let's figure out what we need, because we'll see who's back. And it is a very evolving, moving target. And that definitely makes it hard, because you may think you need one thing and then you don't, or you don't think you need something and then all of a sudden you do. I'm like, oh, geez, we haven't been recruiting that all year. And then let's just get guys that fit and get them to play really hard. So it's I think early in the year, part of the reason you see why mid-major basketball is on the come up is you get some continuity, and then you get some high-level talent guys either coming up from lower levels or coming down or even staying on the same level. And they can compete with those high talent, high major guys because they don't have the continuity yet. They don't have the cohesion, the chemistry, and you can get some of that. I think that's the biggest thing. And why our league, I think, will be really good is there were a lot of people who stayed. And so I think that's the biggest win is retention right now. So for mid-majors, if we can keep guys, we're not going to keep all of them. And I know Coach Ballard and I both experienced that. But if we keep a lot, we're going to have a chance to be a lot better. And we got really lucky. Both years, we've been able to keep 6. And that's been a big win, and champagne bottles and all those things to appreciate that. But it's a moving thing, and it just changes, every day. And so just got to be very flexible in what we're doing as coaches.
Coach Ballard, how about you? What is have you kind of, with this changing landscape of college basketball, everything from transfer portal to NIL to, the last year of COVID now coming into effect, what's your blueprint and kind of what are you looking for, during summer workouts and kind of moving into the fall semester here?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to address and point out, I think it goes without saying with everyone on this call, but it's worth everyone hearing. Coach Mudge having 6 guys return, that is not luck. That is a testament to him, the culture that they have, that I'm telling you, because I played them 3 times. Those guys can play anywhere in the country. And I'm sure they had.
Nobody can recruit my guys. Nobody needs to do that.
Well, and I'm sure that they did, and yet 6 of them still stayed. And that's a testament to what they've got going on. That's a testament to Coach. That's a testament to their culture. But I think Coach hit on a lot of the big things. It's different now. It's like you don't know who's coming back. I've had 4 straight years where my best player has transferred. And, I can tell you, I think you can talk to them. I had amazing relationships with those guys. And, they still left for, what was really more lucrative opportunities for them, and, as a man that grew up not having means either, I can't be mad at these kids for doing something that can better help their livelihood, better help their families. So, but it does change things. I cut my teeth in programs where we really took pride in out evaluating people, out recruiting people, out developing people. And, when you out recruited and out developed some of these other programs, like when I was at the University of Tulsa or VCU or in Illinois State, you got to reap the benefits of that for the next 4 years. Now you do that and you're lucky if you get more than that 1 year. So that's different. You can't rest back and be like, we got over everybody getting this kid and, now everyone's going to pay for the next 4 years. Well, no, he's probably going to get paid for the next 3 years, after he's with you. But so there's that. I think it means that you kind of got to be recruiting every position every year. Because you just never know who's going to leave. And I don't know. I think there's something exciting about that. I do think where the rules, the deregulation of, being able to practice with your whole team for the 8 weeks during the summer and through the fall, I think that helps, work on, lack of continuity and working on chemistry in ways that you couldn't in years past. So, that's good. But I still approach it the same way. It's, build relationships with these guys, let them know you care about them. Let them know you love them. Let them know that you have their best interest in mind, and push them every single day. And if you get to keep them for more than a year, then that's awesome. But, you've got to, now more than ever, obviously you can't have next year I'm going to be good. No, you better be good this year, because next year's team is for sure going to be different.
Yeah, each team is going to have their preview their roster. No, their program sales are going to go through the roof, because everybody's going to have to read it to find out who's on the team.
Exactly.
But the thing I've really noticed with these preview shows is two things. It's like, you look at your conference and all the transfers that have come in. I mean, you've got Zadadi Jackson from West Georgia. He was a Division II All-American going to New Mexico State. You got guys coming in from like Wake Forest, Alabama, SMU, Wichita State, Wake Forest, again, Georgia Tech, a ton of these, Alabama, Oklahoma. The list goes on. And I think we always talk about like the Dalton Connects of the world, but we're not talking about some of these kids that are going to go down and get opportunities. But I think the other thing I really have kind of seen too, is just from all this research, is the guys that come back to that program seem better fit long run, because there's more opportunity. Yeah, maybe you're losing a year or two of NIL money, but then you're playing 10, 12 years of pro basketball and probably making that tenfold. So you're kind of seeing that in your league. You've got a lot of players coming back, and I think down the road is really they're gonna reap the benefits, like Bacho at Louisiana Tech, Don McHenry at Western Kentucky. Some of your guys.
I think that Conference USA has become kind of a good destination within the portal world. And, there are guys that maybe were at a high major level that realize how good the basketball is and what doors you can open up. If you're a really good player in Conference USA, like you said, you can open up pro worlds for the rest of your career. And so we'll get guys that do that. We get guys that coming up from low major D2 that are excited to come play mid-major basketball. And then also we have guys, and there are guys in the league that got in the portal, were recruited by high majors, but similarly balanced that, hey, this is a good level. I'm valued. I know the coaches. And although I have these opportunities, whether it's a money thing, whether it's whatever, I think long-term this is going to be better. And we had a couple of them, and guys in the league have. And so I think that's been a plus for our program, because when we were, 5 years ago, we were in the Southland. Southland was a great league. Man, the top teams in that league were awesome. But, man, transfers, it was not a destination level for them. And once we got into the WAC, and even more so in Conference USA, they're seeing transfers. We've gotten guys from Texas A&M, Wichita State that have been Conference Player of the Year. We've had guys come down and be able to just play, and guys that love to hoop that have come into the level have been really good. Like Bacho stayed, and I would have been glad if he had gone, because I don't like playing against him. He's a big, really good player. But he just loves to hoop and wants to be a part of it and wants to be loved and cared for. And I love that for college basketball. I think that's good for the sport. It's good for the product. It's good for teams. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to play against them, but I want that to exist in my program. So I'm happy for these guys when it happens, and being at the level we are, it makes it easier to be able to convince guys that this is going to help you long-term more than a short-term little money grab or money gain. And for some of those guys, it makes sense. Some of those guys, it makes sense to go, some to stay. And we have a chance just because we're in a good level of basketball.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? You just said something. You've been in 9 conferences in the last 5 years. Where are you guys going next year?
I think we're going to be in the NBA East Division, hopefully next year. And then after that, we're going to be in the Spanish La Liga the year after that. And we're moving, our travel budget's going to go through the roof.
Yeah, and I just want to piggyback and kind of soapbox, honestly, if y'all don't mind. What Coach is talking about, the long-term benefits of this level, the long-term benefits of staying where you've been developed and where you're the most needed at, that's really lost in today's deal. And I know I just mentioned, I can't begrudge any of my young men who can go help themselves right now financially, but the bigger picture, I just wish more of them would understand that. Lamar Wilkerson, man, he's a great player. He could have gone and helped a lot of different people. But
Coach, he's saying he should have gone.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? He's staying in a program that he knows. He's staying with coaches who he knows care about them. He's going to have a chance to produce at a really high level. And I think so many of these kids that they a lot of them just assume that the production at the program they were at is going to be mirrored wherever they go, which almost never happens. And so many of these pro teams, and, unless you're this 6'11" unicorn that can run, jump out the gym and, with the super long wingspan, like they're judging you based off your production. So if you go to a program and then don't produce, you're going to pay for that when it's time to become a pro, because they want to give money to people who they know can produce. And when you go to these other programs and then don't produce, all you're doing is showing these leagues whose teams are better than the team that you're on right now that you're not ready to produce for them. So I tell all people, if these student athletes were really shrewd and really thinking about a long-term, bigger picture vision, they would be transferring down all the time. They would be transferring to levels where they know they're going to produce and that they show that they can produce, because that's what's going to get them paid at the next level. Now, some of this money is just too ridiculous for these kids to say no to. Again, I'm not begrudging them that, but I do wish that they would see the bigger picture and how being where you're truly wanted and needed and where the program has been built around them, so to speak, how powerful that is.
And you know what's funny? Just let me just say this quickly. As you look at all the players, okay, where did Steph Curry go? Davidson. Where did Damian Lillard go? Weber State. Who else? John Morant, Murray State.
Murray State. Yeah.
So you look at, if those guys would have transferred, would they have continued that at that new maybe Power 5 school? And I don't know if they would or not in all instances.
Right.
Well, it gives these guys a level of confidence in their last couple of years in playing college basketball to really say, hey, who am I as a player? That's what I've seen in some of those guys you just mentioned, to be like, hey, I can be that guy and I can play at the next level. And so Coach Ballard brought up Lamar Wilkerson, so Coach Mudge, I kind of want to, what is that like? I mean, season ends last year, a guy like Lamar who's going to be competing for player of the year in the conference this year, with Abacho and McHenry and guys like that, are there conversations happening after last season where you're like, hey, what are you hearing? What do you want to do next year? Like, here's our plan for you. Like, what was that conversation like with Lamar?
It's so weird because, we lost to UTEP in the conference tournament, and it was like the next day it was time to bring everything to the forefront. Now, we have conversations all year with our guys about it. We're very upfront and very open, and so we had an idea of where everybody's head was at even before then. We don't want to make it one of the main things because it's not. We want our guys to be focused on the season, but also, in our building relationships, we want to talk about what they're hearing, because it's crazy how much our guys, and I'm sure Coach Ballard's guys, get hit up during the year by people. They're getting recruited in November. Lamar has a 30-point game. Boom. He gets hit by all these people, some behind the scenes, some not at all behind the scenes. Like that's just brazen. And so, literally the next day we started talking and doing pros and cons and with all the guys, what do you want to do? What's best for you here? Like you said, here's what we think for you. Here's our plan. Is that the best thing for you? Let's talk with your family. Let's do that. And, like a guy like Lamar, he got into the portal and he's like, Coach, I just want to see. And I'm like, that's great. That way, what it could be, and got in, and we continue to talk the whole time. Like, hey man, let me help you go through this thing and talk and figure out, tell me who's calling you and let's talk about it. Like, man, that'd actually be a really good fit. Like, you should talk to them, or that's a really bad one because of X, and then kind of got him dialed in. And then I think the open conversation is the important thing. There's a lot of coaches that if you get in, you're never coming back, or whatever. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but for us, I think for our guys, if they have that opportunity, then we need to let them explore it. And let's talk about it. Like, this is not this elephant in the room. Let's not even talk about it, because otherwise they're gone. They're going to be out of there. And I also tell our staff, if we don't have anybody that people are trying to get out of the portal, we're not good enough. We're not going to be winning a lot of games. So let's help them manage that. So it was a quick turnaround. I'm not going to lie. It was like we got on the flight, got back the next day, and had player meetings with everybody and started throwing stuff out there. And the bad part about the portal being open so long is you could have a conversation every other day And then the last day, I had buddies who the last day of the portal, which was a month and a half later, have guys get in because people are reaching out to them. We had guys on our team not in the portal. People were reaching out to them behind the scenes saying, hey, get in, I'll give you X. And so it was wild. It was wild, just the things that people do. And I think, though, if you talk with your guys about it, as opposed to it being this, taboo thing you don't talk about, you can address some of those things as they come up instead of you got 18 to 22-year-old kids trying to make these financial life decisions. If they're doing it on their own, I'm not saying they can't make good ones, but they certainly could use our help. And so we just talk about it. And I was like, hey, it's okay to tell me if, you're thinking about this. Like our kid, David Barnes, that went to Ole Miss, we talked about it the whole time. Like, hey, let's find what's best for you. And I think he appreciated that. And they're the best billboards for our program. They go on and say, hey, look what this guy did in a year and open things up. And that's a positive thing for them and for us. Whereas if you burn the relationship, you get them so mad at you, like you can't play there, you can't do this, then they're going to go tell their next round of guys, don't go there. He's a jerk. Don't go there. He'll turn on you when you decide to leave. And it's not why God put us in this position. And so it's a weird conversation, but it's certainly important to have our recruiting figured out of knowing like where's everybody heads at. So we know how many scholarships we got to get, what positions we got to get. And I think for kids at first, it's weird. Like they all were like, are we really talking about this? I'm like, yeah, let's talk about it. Then when they got comfortable, I think it helped them to take it off their shoulders because they don't want to disappoint us. I mean, I think our guys like us, and Coach Ballard's guys really like him. I can tell it. And so they don't want to talk about it, but that's a lot of pressure for, an 18 to 22-year-old kid to be thinking about. So it's a natural part of what we got to do the day after the season's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this goes back to, Coach spoke real eloquently about retention. And, when I was at VCU with Coach Smart, he used to remind us all the time, the most important recruits are already on campus, meaning our current players are our most important recruits, like pour into them. So that's always been the case, but now it's truly the case because your players are recruits for everyone else in the nation. So, you can't stick your head in the sand and not have conversations with them or else, you're going to be the one that ends up surprised and shocked. So Coach is right. And he mentioned this earlier, and it just can't be said enough. Retention's everything for us. And again, we're still out here trying to beat bushes and, look on the rocks to find, these guys that have been overlooked, in the recruiting process. And then we're still going to fight like crazy to try to keep them. We're still going to pour into them. And if we can retain really good players, if you can do like Coach Mudge says, and have 6 guys come back, then man, you're going to be in a really good position. I have a very good group of seniors, a good group of non-seniors. If I can keep all of them or the majority of them to come back the following year, and then we have a chance to be really, really good that following year as well. So the retention at our level is the biggest piece of recruiting now.
Yeah. Yeah. Sam, you want to start it off?
Yeah, guys. So coaches, we do a little thing called the shot clock. LT is going to fire off 5-6 questions. Most of them are pretty easy. If they lead to a story, feel free to share your story with it. Some of them might be a little silly, but let's have some fun with it. LT, let's go.
I'm going to start and go really soft because I like you too. Tell me who the best Conference USA official is.
Roger Ayers.
Who was it?
Roger Ayers.
I'm terrible at this.
Coach Mudge is thinking of all the bad ones to not say.
No, but there's a bunch of really good ones. The names I remember are the ones that I get pissed at. So I don't remember the good ones. That's a sign of a good referee, isn't it? Like, oh, hey, he's really good. What's his name? Gosh, I don't even know. I don't have to call his name very much. I don't have anything to complain about.
Man, if this was an easy question, woo-wee.
Now Roger's going to be giving him all the calls. I need to strike him with all our games.
I need him.
We're trying to help you guys out.
Yeah. All right. So this will lead into another one. Which conference team led in most fouls called per game as a team in the Conference USA this past year?
I would think us. We foul like crazy. Us or
I say New Mexico.
UTEP, maybe UTEP. They're very physical and tough.
What do you say, Coach Ballard?
New Mexico State.
Okay, you're both right. UTEP and New Mexico State had 19.9 fouls called on them. Okay. Now, we never talked about Kennesaw State. They actually were called 20.1 fouls per game in Atlantic Sun. So we're getting another physical team. Or the whistles are a little bit looser in the Atlantic Sun. So which team had the lowest fouls against them called in conference?
Liberty.
15. That's what happens when you go to a religious institution.
I feel like they fouled more than 15 times, but maybe it's just because I had Roger at my game. I'm not really sure if that's what it was.
People really love Richie McKay. So what did you guys foul? Who had more fouls? FIU or Sam Houston State?
FIU.
Sam Houston State 18.1 to FIU 18.0. Roger did not help you.
Wow.
It was the one game put you over the top.
It plays like an aggressive defense too. That's surprising.
We got an aggressive league. There's not a lot of teams that are going to sit back. And even like you mentioned, Liberty, people talk about their offense, but they're very good defensively, and they're really good. They're more physical than their bodies look like. And so you go and tell our guys like, hey, you better be ready. You're going to get rid pretty hard. They're going to be wall ups. They do a really good job of being physical without it being the same type of aggression that some of the other teams have.
Yeah. And he's got a whole bunch of players coming back, including Zach Cleveland. One player you wish transferred in CUSA that didn't.
Can we have more than one? I got a long list of guys. There's a long list of guys here.
All right, give me your top three.
I mean, Bacho leads the list for sure. He's a heck of a player and a really hard matchup. And then obviously Porter at Middle Tennessee, and then Cleveland, who may be the toughest mismatch in college basketball. That's probably three pretty good ones. The list could go on, but those are three all league level guys that all can play at a high major, and be successful, that came back that are all really dang good.
Yeah. Who do you say, Coach Ballard?
Yeah, I don't know that I can really. Obviously, I can throw his guy in there, Lamar.
I'm glad he's not on the list. I feel good about that.
But I'm also like, I mean this, like, hey, it's good for our league that these guys are coming back. So I'm not glad that, hey, I promise you, whoever left the league or stayed, it's gonna be really hard. So, and these coaches are gonna find other really good players, develop other really good players. But, Bacho is one of the best bigs in the whole country. McHenry at Western Kentucky is a great point guard. He was all conference last year. Cleveland is a matchup nightmare. But no, I know we're Coach and I, we joke about it. But no, man, we're glad that the coaches in our league can keep good players and the league's going to be tough no matter what. And I actually wanted to jump in on this from earlier. I've been in a lot of different iterations of Conference USA. I was assistant coach at Tulsa in Conference USA, and now I'm going on my 7th year here, and we've gone through a lot of iterations since I've been here at FIU. But this really reminds me of, I think it was 4 years ago, the year before FAU went to the Final Four. And everyone talks about that year that they went to the Final Four. But if you go the year before, I thought that was the best the league has been top to bottom. And I think we had 4 teams in the NIT maybe. And, I mean, everybody was good. And I feel like this year is going to be like that. I mean, it's going to be a bloodbath every game. And it was like that last year. And I just think every team is going to be better than they were last year. So it's I appreciate all the love y'all have given to CUSA. And but I really do think, man, if you want to watch some good high-level competitive basketball with guys going at it, man, tune into Conference USA play this year.
Yeah.
I wish some of these coaches would get in the transfer portal themselves, and we get some of these guys out of our league. That would make life a little easier. Get some of those guys to transfer. We got Coach out. We just got to keep going.
I'm sure they're saying
I'm calling ADs all over the country. I'm like, this Chris Mudge, man, is a great coach. He'd be great in your department.
Oh, my God. One word to describe Conference USA basketball. One word. Can be multiple syllables.
Bloodbath. I mean, every game.
That's 2 words, Coach.
No, it's not. No, it's not. To look at Merriam-Webster would say that it's 1.
I think it's 1 word.
I used it in Scrabble, and I got triple word score. So it was a good one. every night is going to be a 5-point game or less with 2 minutes left.
Mhm.
Every night. It doesn't matter who you play. And so it's there are no nights off, which makes coaching and playing really tough.
Well, you coach Ballard.
Well, now I'm scared to say it because I don't know if it's one word or 2 words. Underrated. I think it's
That's one word.
Okay, yeah. So underrated.
Yeah, I like that. All right, toughest place to play in conference.
Man, we have some great road environments. I think through the first 3 or 4 weeks, I wish I had the stat offhand, but the home teams won like 98% of the games. It was something like 24-2 or something silly for the home teams. And I think it stuck through conference that the home teams had an obscene winning percentage at home. There's some great ones. I mean, UTEP, New Mexico State, really good. Liberty has a really good one. Western Kentucky was really loud. La Tech had a great crowd. I think most of the places are basketball environments in our league, which is part of what makes Conference USA good is they love basketball in our league. The loudest probably was Liberty, though. Whether they pumped in noise or not, I don't know, but it was loud and on TV, and there was a lot of hype in that game.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, Liberty's up there for sure. But
Hey, Coach, he said nothing about Florida International.
I know, he nor should he. But I will say Sam Houston.
Okay.
A
little respect there.
All right. Best dressed coach.
I mean, Coach Ballard's hair puts him above most everybody without even the clothes. I mean,
He's got you.
His swag. I don't have much. I don't think I could physically grow that amount of hair.
Hey, Coach Smart, if Shaka Smart can do it, you can too, man.
I think I would need to get some Rogaine or a spray or something. God did not make me to have a full head of hair. Coach Ballard, you need to start this one off because I look like a schmo. I just wear polo and khakis.
Yeah, I think we all do now. I will take this. I will pat myself on the back on one thing. 7 years ago, when I first got this job, everyone was still wearing suits, and we took the job. And I said, you know what, we're gonna because it was always like you play in these MTEs and you play in the MTEs, and that's when everyone would wear their polo or whatever. And like to a man, everyone loved when they did that. And I used to always say, well, why don't we just do that all the time? So when we got the job, I said, when we go on the road, we're just going to wear polos. We'll wear suits at home. We wore suits at home one time, and I'm like, well, let's just wear polos all the time. And there was literally about 3 other programs in the country that were doing that. And almost every game, a coach would come up to me and be like, man, I wish we could wear what you wear at the game. So we were at least kind of trendsetters in this. COVID hit, and I think post-COVID, kind of most everyone switched to that. So it's hard to stand out, I would say, now as who's the best dressed staff, because I don't think anyone in our league wears suits, do they, Coach?
Not that I remember.
Yeah, so I think
who wears Cole Haans and Jays? That's how you stick out. These little shoe.
So that's what I was gonna say. Like, yeah, the coaches now they're like, oh, this coach has the best shoe game in the league. Right. That's what they've been telling us.
Right.
I'm cheap, so I wear whatever's free for the most part.
All right, so we're never going to use best dressed coach, but I got one for you. Most animated CUSA coach on the sideline.
We got some guys to get into it. I mean, part of what makes Coach Hooten great, and I worked for him for a long time, is just his intensity and juice, and his teams play like that also. So he gets after it over on the sideline. I'm going to give it to Coach Hooten. He's got a lot of good energy.
I'm going to say Coach Hooten. Coach Hooten's an amazing coach, an amazing dude. We played them last game of the regular season this past year, and the lights went out in the arena. And woo, boy, everybody heard about that one from Coach Hooten. So he does not mess around. And I'll tell you, this is funny too. After the game, Coach Hooten's been so kind to me, and great coach. And he came to me after the game, and he was like, JB, and he started pointing at me, and he's like, that Javante Hawkins should have been all conference. I voted for him, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, I bet everyone who's watching is thinking this dude is just cussing me out and going off on me. And here he is, like, congratulating me and my players and being kind. He didn't need to do that, And but he's just so intense, and that's how it came off. And I guarantee you, people are like, man, I'm glad I'm not that Coach Ballard right now. But it's so I would say Coach Hooten is. Yeah, there's a lot of animated coaches in our league, but I would say he's probably up there.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is the last question. I'll take it to Sam to close it up. So if Coach Hooten was a scented candle, what scented candle would he be?
What a fantastic question. I think fiery dragon. It would be hot, spicy. There would be a lot of intensity in the light and energy coming out of that candle. You would walk in and be like, let's go. It's not, a eucalyptus lavender candle. That's not Coach Hooten. He's got juice. I mean, everything he does.
Yeah. Coach Ballard's still thinking about it.
I'd say fragrance free, no frills. Just a flame and wax.
I'm never going to hang out with you, Coach Ballard.
This is what you get. This is what you get. So, coaches, we really appreciate you guys coming on the Conference USA preview show at the Full Court Press podcast. We're going to turn it over to you guys last minute of the show. Anything you guys want to share to the Sam Houston State or FIU fan base, boosters, alumni community? Anything you guys are looking forward to this upcoming season?
I think we're going to have an exciting conference, and people need to continue to show up because you're going to get a great product. There's not going to be a bad game that you get to come see. And so I think that's an exciting thing about being a fan in our conference right now is we're moving up with talent, with coaching, with facilities, with money. Everything is getting better. So it'll be a good time to be a Conference USA fan.
Yeah, I just want to say, man, thank y'all for having us on. Thank you for promoting our game. We're losing a lot of that. So for you guys to, take all this time and be as passionate about college basketball and our level of basketball really means a lot. So thank you for that, Coach Mudge. Thank you for having, advocating for me to be on. This is as stand up of a guy as you'll ever find in Coach Mudge. So thank you. And I'd echo those, man. Like Coach said, it's going to be a bloodbath. Man, come out to these games. They're going to be competitive. They're really good players that are going to make real pro money beyond Conference USA that are in this league this year. There's excellent coaches. The style of play is an exciting style of play. Teams get up and down. Teams get after each other. And the conference tournament's going to be a war as well. And it's in Huntsville again, which was a great location. And I'm telling you, come out, tune in, ESPN Plus, watch all these games, come out and support even more because you will definitely be entertained.
Yep. So you guys are going to stick with us.
I know we're big hoop heads from like college basketball, like the 90s and stuff. And like, that's like when I watch Conference USA today, it reminds me of those like 90s games in college when guys are diving for the ball, like being physical, but having high IQ on the court. Like it's the way college basketball should be played.
Is fast.
I love watching CUSA basketball because it's the way it should be played. So we appreciate everything you guys do for the game as well.
Yep. And you guys are going to stick with us one more second when we just upload, but we really appreciate it. And I hope you guys take to heart what the coaches said about checking out Conference USA basketball. It is fast paced. It is the Wild West. It's a shootout. And they actually play defense too, which is exciting. So a lot of good transition. And Don McHenry makes it down the floor in less than 2.5 seconds. I counted. And thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll be back on another Full Court Press podcast at College Basketball Experience preview show soon.